Hey guys, it's Eric with Bricksville. So today we're going to be reviewing our first Star Wars sets on the channel. So I figured, what's the best thing to do but to review some of the first Star Wars sets that ever existed. So these were made in 1999, right after Episode 1 was released. So we've got 7121 Naboo Swamp and 7131 Anakin's Podracer. So we're going to see, do they really hold up to what we make now? Why are they so special? What are maybe some improvements? But we're going to be kind of gentle on that because it was the first year that they were doing it, and we're going to see how they are. We're going to start off with the Naboo Swamp, set number 7121. So it cost $10 back in the day in 1999 when it was released. In today's money, that would be $18 when figuring in inflation. So not too bad, but also a little high. So then the average cost to pick this up today would be around $25 used. So honestly, when you figure in inflation, kind of the same cost. Not a very good investment. But for new sealed box, it would be around $75. So the box is pretty attractive. It's got a Lego system, which they did back in the day. Now it's just, they simplified it. Now it's just Lego. You've got the old Star Wars Lego logo, and then you've got a nice scene built in the front. On the side here, we've got just them battling and facing off each other. And then on the back, which I really like, they give an alternate build. They actually don't include any instructions on how to actually put this thing together. They just let your imagination figure it out, and it's cool how they did this graphic here where they showed them disassembling, the minifigs actually disassembling the original build to make the new one. This set includes 4 minifigs. Starting from the left, you have Qui-Gon Jinn, then you have Jar Jar Binks, and 2 battle droids. Some interesting things to note, I really miss the chrome silver lightsaber hilts. They haven't produced them since 2010 in a UCS set. But that's one thing that they got right first off. It's been 12 years since I've done it. So then Jar Jar Binks. The head is really accurate, the mold-wise. I think it kind of reflects the ears, the length, kind of everything about it is perfect. The only thing is the first year they didn't do any printing, so it's just this stark tan color. And they did a few other sets where just no printing. So it is a little strange, reminds me of the old Dobby, same kind of thing, but they definitely improved that one later. Now the droids, on the other hand, the only real differences are they stopped including the backpacks nowadays, but they just use a stud on there. And then they later on developed the straight arm. This one just has 2 bent arms. Main reason why that doesn't matter too much is because they didn't even have blasters back then for them to hold. And this set would have ended up having 2 bent arms anyways because to hold the speeder handles. But it's interesting to note that mold hasn't really changed since they first made it. They kind of they figured it out and they left it. The speeder bikes are pretty simple, but pretty ingenious, especially without the lack of blasters at the time. You can position the droids on here just by holding on their arms onto the handles. And then you can you do a couple different things where if you tilt the head all the way back, kind of looks like it's getting away from them. Or you can do a little bit more of an aggressive stance by adjusting the head forward. This guy is old and his head doesn't want to stay up, but you can do that. But the use of the clear bricks through here to make it look like it's floating is a pretty cool effect, and a nice little speeder. The actual swamp itself is a really, really simple build. This entire thing would probably take maybe 10 minutes for a kid to put together. The only interesting things to note is this oyster mold was made just the year prior in 1998 for Belleville. So it was cool to see some of those molds kind of carry over. But it just kind of gives a nice little water area in the center where, you can kind of stage a little battle, but not really a lot, especially when you figure in it costs $18 back in the day. Next up, we have 7131, which is Anakin's Podracer. So at the time, it cost $15, which in today's money, with inflation, would be $27, which is, again, kind of high. And then I don't think most people realize that. They hear like, oh, that used to be $15 back in the day. But when you figure out how much that was actually worth, if they were to put out this set today at $27, people may be complaining that it's too much, especially for what they're getting. But if you want to pick it up today, on average used, like you're going to see today, it's around $25. New sealed is around $90. So the box is the same style as the other one. We've got the Lego system at the top, the old Star Wars Lego logo, and then you've got the overall just scene of him chasing down the droid about to run him over, and then Padme in disguise over here. They recommended this for 7 to 12. Which seems a bit extreme, but I think you probably can put this together much younger. But you've got a scene on the side with the characters kind of all standing next to each other and then next to the pod. And then on the back, you've got, similar to the other one, the characters are disassembling the entire craft and then building these little ships over here. These are definitely not canon Star Wars. But they are fun little just kind of builds, and they don't give you any instructions on how to do it, so you're just going to have to figure it out from the pictures, or hopefully these will spark your imagination and you make something that they didn't even think of. This set includes 3 minifigs. You have the pit droid here, which is a nice little cute build. There's some limitations on where the arms can go because they run into the plates right here. But, I mean, it's cute. It works. Then you have Anakin. Both Anakin and Padme are the old yellow style faces. They didn't come out with the skin colored until much later for licensed sets. But you have Anakin in his little Podracer helmet, and then you have Padme with a long ponytail piece like that. So they're good figs. Honestly, Padme, I don't really see the resemblance, but Anakin is close enough that I'd be able to recognize that immediately. So the overall build on this set is pretty great in my opinion. There's definitely some things that could have been better, but especially when put into context, it's a really great build. So these little fin pieces in the front of the engines can open and close. I believe they were used in steering, but I'm not sure. So then you've got the trans neon orange pieces in the center, which is kind of the plasma electric type thing that connects the 2 engines. And they use those kind of like ship guns there. You have the hoses that go back to the pod itself, kind of connecting. That's what's letting them be dragged behind the engines. And then the pod has everything is printed. There's no stickers. You have the design on the front of the slope, right in front of Anakin's controls. And then you have 2 door pieces, which are kind of his emblems on the side. And then he can control everything using those 2 levers. Now, the one thing that people, especially just as people come into the shop and everything, complain about or don't like is where they used these tan plates to tie everything together. They used tan, most likely, because of the sand that it was supposed to be in. But especially when you compare it to the 20th anniversary Podracer set, where they use the Technic lift bars or lift arms to kind of make it look like it was really floating and have that whole section be clear, translucent. That kind of technique is definitely superior. But the thing to remember is those lift arms didn't exist until 2001. They did have Technic, but because Technic actually came out in 1977, but it was a different style. And I don't really know how that would go any better than this does without just being a big bulky distraction or having these big square lift arms. So given the pieces that they had at the time and the budget, of just the overall price of the set, I honestly think this is a simple and a beautiful solution using the system that they had. But in the future, I myself as well do like the look of the 20th anniversary
Podracer, much better. But this is the one this is the nostalgia. This is the one that people grew up with. I mean, or at least the '90s kids grew up with. So it's definitely shares that special place. Now the little flag here is just a kind of a basic stand. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the finish line or just, kind of along the side, because they did have a bunch of flags in those scenes. But you can put Padme on there, and yeah, it's just a good little build. The older style manuals were without a doubt harder to use than what they do now. I love the design of kind of the starry background in here, but they don't give a list of like, all right, so these are the pieces that you're going to use for this step versus the next one. On something like this, you can see on the entire page. That's not too bad. When you start getting into the build itself, and it spans pages, okay, so I got this one, and then, okay, now I'm going to add that one and that one. You flip over here, okay, well, it's kind of pointing out this, but you've also got this back here. So you may continue past, and all of a sudden, oh, this plate is too long, what's going on? So then you have to flip back and see, oh, what did I miss? Oh, there's a whole nother one on the back. So that kind of, I used to think that it was because I was a kid and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But as I've gotten into building these older sets with the store and being an adult, I still make the same mistakes. So the instructions were just not as clear as they are now, which there's some, you learned to deal with that. You learned that there was going to be elements that you weren't going to see, and you looked for those differences, which is a nice skill to learn, but also not everything needs to be difficult to be good. So personally, I like the new method much better. There's no reason to make it harder than it needs to be. But get here to the end, build your last thing, and then it kind of shows you how you can set it up.
So I love these sets for what they are. To be honest, if Lego put out these sets today, I'd be like, you serious? But when you look at what they are for the time and what these sets in particular led to with, I mean, Star Wars takes over like half my store every single day. So what these ended up growing into, it's impressive. The sets, you can even see elements from here that either, like the droids, still stay today, or you can see the beginnings of what they were kind of working on their techniques. It's similar to even all of us as builders. We start using the simple techniques and this and everything, and then you grow with time until you're making things that you could have never dreamed of. Lego as a company is the same way. So I really like these sets. If you've had them as a kid, I know that they bring up a lot of memories, and just even if you weren't with them, they're really cool. So I'm glad that I have them in the shop here, and I definitely recommend, if you see them, to pick them up. So that's our episode for today. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel, and we'll keep on making videos. Thanks a lot.